Our conversation today centers on the petroleum industry bill and the role of oil in the recovery process of the global economy. And joining me on this is energy consultant Olabode Sowunmi. Welcome to Business Express.
Thank you.
Okay, the president just signed the petroleum industry bill. What's your immediate reaction?
I think without mixing words, that's probably the most important development in the oil and gas industry in the last 20 years. Okay. If we were going to put them in ranking in terms of what has happened to this industry, that's the most significant development. And there are 1,000,001 reasons for that. Okay. But if you are going to say...
Let's start with one. Then we go to maybe probably more.
I think the first thing is that there is now clarity in terms of fiscals for the oil community, for those who are interested in gas, with respect to how they will invest in the country. One of the reasons why investment destinations for Nigeria had been slow was because they weren't clarity, and they didn't know whether they will pass the bill into an act or they will not. So this was affecting investment destinations. And it is, whether it is by accident or incident, it just so happened that during the period where investment into Nigeria was slow and uncertain was when they started discovering gas and oil in Liberia and Ghana, Mozambique, Uganda, and all that. So using the same players anyway. So some people believe that it is a result of the uncertainties in Nigeria that made them to go and invest their funds somewhere else. So what we expect now is more operations and more activities within the space, more money to come in, so contractors who do support services will get more jobs, and something better for the economy.
Okay, the PIB is expected to be a game changer in the energy sector. Can you assess the long and short-term benefit of the PIB?
Okay, well, it's no longer a bill, it's an act. So maybe it's probably be PIA. Yeah. Petroleum Industry Act. I mean, I'm just joking. Okay. But basically, like I said, the first thing it gives is clarity in terms of how things will work in the industry. The second significant thing that it does is that NNPC, as we know it today, ceases to exist. NNPC does not cease to exist, but NNPC, the way it operates today, ceases to exist. So you are going to form a limited liability company which is going to report its operations and is going to work for profit, and is going to be Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited. That's going to operate. Then some of the regulatory functions of NNPC is going to be divested from them. DPR itself is going to collapse into two and a number of other agencies, like the Petroleum Equalization Fund and all that. They're going to all be collapsed into two different organizations. One is called the Regulatory Commission for Upstream and the Regulatory Authority for Downstream. So for upstream is called the Commission, for downstream is called the Authority. Both arms are going to be responsible for regulation. But as simple as that says, it is so significant in terms of actual operations and dynamics of the industry, which means that regulatory activities has a one-stop shop. It's no longer DPR with respect to licensing and some other person with respect to policy.
Okay, these are the technical aspect of it. For the common man on the street, when you say the PIB is signed, what does it mean to him?
Well, to the man on the street, he can expect more jobs, which basically means that there is going to be more money into the industry. When more money comes into the industry, scale of operations will increase. Once scale of operations will increase, everybody needs to employ more people to do those things from the IOCs. Then there will be subcontractors who are going to get more jobs, and those people too will employ more people. Then there will be support services they need. They're going to need lawyers, they're going to need economists, they're going to need accountants. So more people. So technically for the layman on the street, first of all, you expect more jobs. Yeah. Number two is that there's going to be greater transparency in how the industry works, which means that when there are issues, starting with things like how subsidy is calculated and all those things, there's now a greater transparent process for the public to demand questions and get answers with respect to how the industry works. And of course, once people are liable to being questioned, it also puts them on check to do the right thing. So we expect an industry that will also improve in terms of its operations and its relevance to how things operate. I think in the immediate terms, those are two ways that the man on the street can relate to the PIB and what it means to them.
Okay, the transition now, I'm talking about the implementation. How do you think it will be like?
Well, first of all, transitions are periods of uncertainty. So even there's no one person that is going to say this how it will be like. But having said that, there are certain expectations. There will be a transition committee which will obviously be announced by the president and be headed by somebody in Nigeria, obviously. And then they're going to have some processes and all that. But I don't see it happening in being started and concluded in less than 2 years.
Okay.
Could be 3 years, but it's going to be, and then because it's a transition period, there will be stopgap, there will be challenges and all that. But we expect there will all be teething problems.
Okay, now let's look at oil on the international stage. Recently, there's been move by the United States calling the OPEC and OPEC Plus to increase supply. How do you see that playing out?
It's just
because the issue is on recovery process. How more supply will aid recovery process. How do you see that playing out?
You know, once industries start to work, we're going to go back to the normal issues of demand and supply, because the industries need oil and they need gas. You know, let's remove the international politics of oil about to end and all that. In reality, that is not likely to happen even in our own lifetime. And there are basic reasons for that. Let's remove petrol, which is what everybody looks into when you say crude oil. There are over 10,000 products that are directly impacted by oil, from candles to paint to cosmetics to pharmaceuticals to roofing sheets to even jerseys that players use. The oil industry affects more than 10,000 items. So until you find a replacement, ink in your pens, bitumen on the road that is used for coal tar and all that, until you find a replacement for all those 10,000 things that is commercially competitive. It's not just a replacement. It must be a replacement that is commercially competitive. They're still going to need crude oil. So for now, industry are bouncing back. We're talking about post-COVID. The world has to return to normal. The man that is making ink, Mont Blanc, still needs his crude oil. You understand? The people that are making jerseys, they still need whatever it is they need. Those in the pharmaceuticals, they need it. So obviously, there's going to be increased demand. And it is those forces of demand and supply that is coming to play after the politicians have finished with their own politics.
Okay, if you notice, there has been a fluctuation in the price of oil. Won't that affect the recovery process?
It doesn't, because it's a market. Okay. Don't forget that it's a commodity. It's like gold, it's like cocoa, it's like rubber, it's like tin. You go to the market, it's high today, it's low tomorrow, depending on the dynamics of the market. It is drastic changes in price that usually affect things, like say when let's say it jumps from $70 to $150. That's a drastic change. Or let's say it drops from $100 to $30. That's also a drastic change, which can affect many people. But once it's the fluctuations of $2, $3, $4, $5.
But it might prolong the recovery process.
Highly unlikely. Okay. Highly unlikely. I mean, the market will react. Some people will start faster. You know, it's just about demand and supply. Maybe there's overproduction within a certain space. Maybe there's underproduction, or maybe there's a production at an increment that does not tally with the amount of industries that are starting. But whatever be the case, there's an amount of crude oil that must be available globally.
Now, before I let you go, subsidy or not subsidy, where do you stand and why?
The first thing is that how much are we really paying for subsidy? Because what we are doing now is that we are giving the previous NNPC the role of a pastor or a clergyman, where we take their word as faith. We take their word in faith that they are telling us the truth. So there is what the NNPC tells us that we are paying for subsidy, but nobody has been able to interrogate those prices. Nobody has been able to compare it with global prices, and nobody has been able to calculate whether those prices are actually real. So we need an independent, people-oriented, multiple parties to interrogate the cost of subsidy. When we interrogate the cost of subsidy, then we can now determine how much are we really paying, and then we'll look at how it affects the economy. But until we really know what we're paying in terms of subsidy, we cannot say, because every time the issue is that we remove subsidy, then a few months down the line, you will be told that there's under recovery. So the issue is that how much are we really paying? Because once the price of crude oil goes down, which is usually when the subsidy goes up, the cost of production also goes down. That is an aspect that people don't take into cognizance. So this process of calculating the subsidy needs to be interrogated effectively, needs to be transparent, and then it's easy for everybody to know this is what's actually happening. Then an informed, objective decision will be taken.
So are you saying that subsidy should continue? Or
what I'm saying is that I don't even know whether there's really a subsidy. So I don't
thank you very much.
I don't even know whether there's really subsidy.
Thank you very much, Olabode.